every minute of his Toastmasters life. Every Thursday he would come to my house and practice his speech. I wasn't always happy. But anyway, he did it every Thursday, and he would bring a bun loaf, and over the bun loaf and a cup of coffee, he would practice his speech. He got 9 speeches done, and then fell off his perch.
Then we have 2 people who haven't been had numbers yet in the drawing.
They've taken their
Cheryl
names.
Lucas and Charmaine.
I've got the number.
I'm your topics master. Well, as we all know, newspapers are becoming almost a thing of the past, sadly. I enjoy my newspaper. But it's true that ink gets on your hands. And have you ever had a nasty rash after getting that ink on your hands? I have. It's really been bad. So this is great news. They're banning the black print, and they're going to have coloured print. Now, they've done all the tests. They've tried blue and red and green and purple, and they've discovered that purple is the one that is best. They tested it. They had guinea pigs, well, not real guinea pigs, but people guinea pigs, and they tested all these colours to see if they got rashes from the print colour, and some of them were really bad, but the purple was great.
Your topic is Sleeping Beauty has been asleep for 100 years. When she wakes, she finds that the roads in the kingdom are no longer black with white lines, but white with black lines. Explain to her why this radical change came about while she was sleeping.
Oh, to sleep for 100 years. I wished I could do that and then wake up. And wake up to something different? How great would that be? Look, those roads that we drive on all the time. Black with white lines. And half the time, you mightn't see those white lines anyhow. And when it gets really dull on those rainy overcast days, and the rain's pelting down, can you really see that dark road? So when she wakes up to this wonderful white road, most people can see white. And they're black lines. They're so much more defined. She knows which half of the road she has to stay on while that rain's pelting down, doesn't she? So, being asleep for 100 years and waking up to this new revelation in transport, white roads that you can see so easily. Even the elderly, and as my eyesight's aging, I'll be able to see the white roads. I hope they bring them in really quickly here. And the black line. Don't you waver over my side of the line. This is my half of the road. So, Mr. Table Topics Master, Sleeping Beauty is delighted to have slept for 100 years and wake up to the new revelation in mode of transport.
Mr. Table Topics Master. The reason why the whiteboard is that you don't have to use chalk. You can use felt pens, ones that are erasable. You don't use permanent pens, like some people do, and then you have to scrub off. The other reason is that you can use both sides of the board. Most of the boards you can do one side, turn it around, and have something else on the back. You can do many things with a whiteboard. And as I said, the blackboard, it was the chalk that used to get into your lungs, and you'd be coughing and spluttering, and then you get it up your nose, and you had those dusters that were never washed or cleaned because they were still full of chalk, and every time you picked them up, the chalk would go everywhere over the floor. So I believe that our whiteboards are great because they are movable. We can move them from room to room. We can move them around the room to different places so that it's more convenient. You can't pick the blackboard off the board and take it anywhere that you like. So you have that convenience with that as well with the whiteboard, that you don't have to have it stuck to the wall. You can move it around. It's quite inexpensive. Also, you can put little pictures on the whiteboard. You can stick it on the glue tack or whatever you want to use. And I think that it's great to have that change, even though the blackboard has served us for many years, which we have, you know, from toddlers to older people. Some of these young people probably never seen blackboards or not used blackboards because we have the whiteboards. So I believe that whiteboards have been a good revolution. There's lots of things that I don't like that have changed over the years, but the whiteboard has been great. It's good for schools, it's good for children, and you can rub off the things that you can make a mistake and you can rub it off. Mr.
So he's at the pub and eventually he decides to leave. So when he gets home, he pulls into the drive, goes straight upstairs, and the first thing that met him was the wife. In the ear, giving him a hard time about pulling up at the pub. Anyway, he gets to her and he thought, I'm over this. So down the stairs, jumped into his Holden, whammed up the Holden into reverse and backed it up to his little fishing boat. He hooks the fishing boat onto the boat and then proceeded to go under the house and get some provisions for the fishing boat that he hadn't cleaned. Half a dozen stubbies was all he could find and a bit of bait. So he hops back in the Holden and sets sail. Anyway, he heads towards Jacob's Well. And on the way to Jacob's Well, he was very lucky. He gets to a place called the Gem. The Gem was still open, so he pulls into the Gem. He there procures himself a bottle of rum and a carton of beer. Into the boat, and he off down to the Jacob's Well. And he arrived at the most perfect time. The tide was almost out. So he threw the boat off, parked the car, threw all the provisions in the boat, hopped in the boat and set sail. But because Tommy had pulled up the rubbity-dub on the way home and the Gem had a couple on the way down, he needed to go. So he thought, I'll just get to and stand up while the boat's running. So he's standing there with the peering in the darkness and he accidentally fell out. But poor old Tommy couldn't swim. So Tommy started dog pedaling. And he was dog pedaling and dog pedaling and he was dog pedaling that fast that he actually caught up to the boat. And he grabbed onto the boat. The boat slowly circled in a circle and ran up onto a mudbank. Now while Tommy's trying to get back into the boat, he gets to and he climbs up to find a dirty great big mud crab and hooked onto his toe. So he thought, whack at this, so he threw it into the boat. He then got back into the boat, drank the bottle of scotch and headed off, and the next minute he could hear all these breakers. And he thought, geez, that's strange. So he pulled up into a little cove, thought this will be a good place to spend the night. Continued drinking all night and fishing, caught some of the best fish he had ever seen. They were that big. Anyway, when he wakes up in the morning, here he is sitting in the middle of Swan Bay. Mr. Toastmaster.
And someone has cited the elusive white and black striped zebra. So we now are heading into our Jeep and we're going to go out to try to get a photo so that we can say for real that it is definitely a white and black striped zebra and not a black and white striped zebra. So here we are in our Jeep heading down in deep dark Africa towards the jungle. With us we have our rifle, just in case we come across any lions. We have our binoculars so we can see further. And of course we have our camera because we need photographic evidence. But we also have our reference book because how are we going to tell the difference between a white and black striped zebra and a black and white striped zebra? So through the trek we go, the jungle, peering through we could only drive so fast, and of course it was all on foot. So we're going through the vines, keep going and going through. And then all of a sudden it's like, what was that noise? Oh, it's okay. It's only an elephant stomping and trumpeting through the jungle. Go a little bit further. What is that? It's a snake slithering across our path. So further into the jungle, we slowly go further and further into the jungle. And then we hear the unmistakable sound, the neighing of the zebras. So we pull the reeds back and we're looking through, and the sight was just magnificent. So quick, get the camera, get the everything you need, the reference book, quick, check that they're the right ones, take a photo. I didn't say the rifle, but we're not going to shoot them. All of a sudden, we're just taking this photo, we've got it all set up, and the monkeys come down from the tree. And they've stolen our rifle, they've stolen our binoculars and our camera, as well as our reference book. Now we have got absolutely no way of knowing whether for sure they were the zebras with the black and white stripes or the zebras with the white and black stripes.
Sea ships, Dutch sea ships, passed the West Australian coast. Willem, a Dutch sailor, was on one of these ships and the ship wrecked. He swam to the coast and was saved by the Werawi tribe. Willem showed how to dig the land and how to grow vegetables in gardens. He became friends with the princess of the King's Werawi tribe and married. The Werawi tribe danced the whole night for the newlywed princess and Willem the prince. "300 years later, a new Willem arrived in Australia and he visited West Australia, the Werawi tribe. They all recognized that he was a descendant of the Werawi tribe. And he became king of this tribe. They all were so happy. He became the West Australian Werawi tribe king.
They had arrived. Keith, a rotund man, and his wife Mary were going to the Lions Club annual dinner, where Keith was to be installed as club president. Mary looked good in her white outfit. Driving to the function, feeling good. The weather was bad. Puddles of dirty water everywhere. Keith stopped at a traffic light. Another car came speeding past and hit a puddle and threw dirty water through the car window onto Mary's white outfit. The other car sped off with sounds of laughter Keith was furious. He plotted revenge. He knew who the other driver was. His name was John. He didn't see John for some months. They were hot months. No rain, no muddy puddles. But he still prepared for when he did see John. He filled a bucket with muddy water. Thick, black, slushy mud. And kept it in his car in preparation for when he came across John. It finally happened. It was on Dusters Day. There was John's car, stopped at the opposite traffic lights. It was the same type of car and the same colour. It must be him. The other car approached. Keith readied his bucket of black, slushy water and then threw it through the other car's window as it passed him. Oh no! It was his wife Mary. She had borrowed her sister's car. And that was the same model and colour as John's car. A broken, thin man. Keith hasn't had a home-cooked meal for a long time.
Toastmasters. I was very small when I asked my Uncle Jack, "Why do you have an old sock on your arm? You don't have a hand like me, Uncle Jack." He said he was at the circus when a big black panther escaped. And as it ran past, he grabbed it by the tail. But the angry panther turned around and bit his hand off. Uncle Jack, he was my hero. But years later, Dad suggested I only believe half of his stories because he actually lost his hand on a fishing trip down the Brisbane River at Goodna. He held the stick of gelignite too long before he threw it in the water. But since he could no longer work in the mines, shoveling all the coal, his mates helped him to set up as a professional sports coach. They built a big, huge shed in the backyard and turned the side verandas into sleeping quarters. Now, many of his sportsmen represented Queensland and Australia in athletics, league, soccer and cricket, as well as in professional foot races. Now, because his best sprinter was always unfairly handicapped in the sprint races, Uncle Bill had a brainwave one day. He entered Garni in the White Cliffs Gift as a barefoot runner, Billy Junda from the Perga Aboriginal Mission. He turned White Garni into Black Billy, cutting off his black curls, and then coated him from head to toe with black boot polish. Billy won both his heat and the final. Oh, it was a very hot day, and black beads of perspiration ran down his body. Unfortunately, as he wiped the sweat from his face, suddenly white streaks appeared. They were all railroaded out of town. Now, Uncle Jack blamed the inferior quality of that foreign New Zealand Kiwi polish I said next time I'm going to use good old black nugget.
First of all, could everyone please give them a big round?
Dumb looking faces out there, black paint. When is a black doll not a black doll?
When you paint it white.
When it's a greyhound. What's black and white, black and white, and black and white, and black and white?
Zebra crossing.
Yes? No. A nun caught in a revolving door. What's black and white and rolls downhill? My goodness.
A bowling ball.
No. A penguin. Wow! We have a winner, isn't that wonderful?
A shocking equation. So anyway, my two jokes. This is about a middle-aged married couple. They wake up on the morning of the wife's 50th birthday. Husband leans over, kisses his wife, wishes a happy birthday. And what would you like to do today, darling? He says. Well, she said, I don't know really, darling, I just wish I was 10 again. Right, we're going off for brunch, forget breakfast. Off they go for brunch, stop at the local pancake man. He seats his wife, goes and places his order. Finds a waitress, out of earshot of his wife, places the order. Goes and sits back with his wife. A few minutes later, waitress returns, chocolate chip pancakes and chocolate milkshakes. The wife's really surprised. Anyway, 10 minutes later, they wolf that down. And she says, right, off we go again. He takes her to the local park, to the swings, the roundabouts, and the slippery slides. But they spend a happy 15 minutes there. We're not finished yet, dear. Off we go again, over to the duck pond. Produces 2 slices of bread, which he purloined from the pancake man. Fed the ducks for 5 minutes, and it's time to go home. Off they went home for a rest. They get home. He says to his wife, well, my dear, did you enjoy being 10 again? Actually, she says, when I said I wanted to be 10 again, I was referring to my dress size.
It's a black hat hacker. But then he might grow up and get a bit more educated and then work for some government office or some large company and try to prevent people from being able to hack into their information or wealth. So he's now a white hat hacker. But because he's had these bad habits before, sometimes he slips back into his old ways, and when he gets back to his home at night, he might just have a little dabble in trying to get into some more interesting things than what he's had during the day. So now, he's a grey hat hacker. But I've got to tell you, there's only one way to get into a computer, and that's to boot it, as far as I'm concerned.
Good evening. Evening. Come on. Good evening. Good evening. We've got some jokes for you tonight. I hope you like them. Matey, why does a pirate's phone go beep, 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 beep? Do you know?
No, don't know.
Do you know? Do you know?
Yeah.
Because he left it off the hook.
Because he left it off the hook.
Why do pirates like opera singers? Any idea, Maddie?
No.
No? No? Any idea? Any idea?
No.
They can hit the high notes.
Singers can really handle the high C's. How does a pirate poison another pirate? Oh, bad stuff, bad stuff. Haven't you tried it lately? Have you tried it lately? What do you think they use? Any idea?
Arsenic.
Arsenic. Got it. Got it. Bad stuff, bad stuff. Where do pirates hang out? Any idea? You should know, you're one of them. Where do they hang out?
David Jones.
Yeah, Gates. An able-bodied seaman meets a pirate in a bar. You know what that's like. And they take turns in recounting their adventures at sea. Noting the pirate's peg leg. Got a hook here. Got an eye patch. I think you got an eye patch. Okay, so how did you end up with your peg leg?
We was caught in a monster storm off the Cape, and a giant wave swept me overboard. Just as they were pulling me out, a school of sharks appeared and one of them bit off my leg.
Oh, it's all wood. Oh, that's not good. So what about the hook?
We were boarding a trader ship, pistols blasting and swords swinging this way and that. In the fracas, my hand got chopped off.
Oh, my goodness. So, blimey, but how about the eye patch?
Yes, the eye patch. A seagull dropping fell into me eye.
Oh.
Can you see now?
Why did that happen?
Well, it was my first day with me hook. And me lovelies, to finish off, where are my buccaneers? On my buckenhead.
And this rabbit had health all his life. He was a happy rabbit. But there came a time when he just didn't feel himself. This poor rabbit. So he had to go to the doctor. So he went to the doctor and said, "Doc, I'm not feeling well." And the doctor checked him out and he said, "Well, this rabbit, I have to do some more tests." So eventually the test came back and the rabbit went in and said, "Well, tell me, Doc, what do you got for me? What's wrong with me?" He said, "Well, I've got some bad news and I've got some really bad news." And the poor rabbit thinks, "Oh, well, Doc, you know, that doesn't sound good. But give me the really bad news first." "Well, Mr. Rabbit, you've got myxomatosis." Oh, the rabbit said, no, not myxomatosis. That's it. I've got no sign of the limb. The doctor said, "That's right." In the meantime, you might as well tell me what the bad news is. Well, he said, "You've got Alzheimer's." And the rabbit looks up and he thinks Alzheimer's. A big smile comes in his face. And the doctor said, "What are you smiling about?" Well, he said, "For a moment I thought you were going to tell me I had myxomatosis." But this morning, the